Welcome back to Yaya Simple Living. Today we are going to be preserving 50 pounds of tomatoes. So I have 25 pounds in my sink here that I purchased from a local farm. I unfortunately did not grow enough tomatoes this year to do all of my tomato products, which is what I like to do. I like to can a bunch of sauce, and that way I can use it in chilies or make pasta sauce out of it or whatever I want, but I just can it plain in sauce and then I use it throughout the year. So unfortunately the tomatoes that I grew, well, they were very big tomatoes, and I have so far I've harvested like 30 pounds and I've already pulped them and they are in the freezer, and I'm going to actually do tomato sauce or tomato paste out of those. So these are going to be just for my sauce tomatoes. So won't you come along while I put these through my KitchenAid fruit and vegetable strainer, and then we'll get them into my Nesco 18 quart, 23 quart electric roaster to cook down. So let's get started. Fair warning, my mixer is kind of loud. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is I will cut them up. I'll take some of the tomatoes and I will core them. And cut them up. So let me move you guys so that you can see that part of it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to core my tomatoes, and I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces so that they will fit through the plunger of the food mill easier. So these have already been washed. I'm just going to core them. This is actually a strawberry huller, but I like to use it to core my tomatoes because it cores them beautifully. And we are just going to take a whole bowl of these and cut them up, and then we can just put them through the strainer all at once, and we won't have to like stop in between and cut up tomatoes, and it just makes it go faster. I have a second 25-pound box that we're going to be doing also. So altogether, I'm going to have 50 pounds of tomatoes that I am making into sauce. And basically, like I said, what I do is the only thing I put in my sauce is I will put, in each jar, I will put some salt, and I will put some either lemon juice or citric acid, and then I will can the tomatoes just plain. I don't put any kind of, I mean, last year I did a few things of pizza sauce, which was, I have to say, absolutely phenomenal. So I may do a couple jars of the pizza sauce. I do like half pints of that because it's just me, and I don't use that much sauce when I make pizza, so I may do a couple half pints of the pizza sauce to have on the shelf, but primarily these are going to be just plain old pasta sauce. So let me get going on these, get as many of these done as I can and fill this bowl, and then we will get started. So with my KitchenAid attachment, it'll probably take me about an hour straight through saucing or pulping 50 pounds of tomatoes. And what the KitchenAid attachment does, I'll show you, it's really cool, is it strains the tomatoes. So it separates the skins and the seeds from the pulp. So when you have your bowl of pulp, all you have is the pulp. And then I usually try and put the skins and seeds through a second time just to get any residual pulp that's left in there. And then I can let my sauce cook down. These are some beautiful Roma tomatoes, I will say that. But I wanted to get them done and in a hurry before they're not so beautiful. So like I said, I like to do all my own tomato products, like sauces and stuff, and it lasts me for a year. So I don't have to buy tomato sauce. Hopefully now I won't have to buy tomato paste, and I'll take you guys along when I make the paste. I don't eat a lot of salsa because I am allergic to onions, unfortunately. So I don't really make salsa. I do make some barbecue sauce, Last year I made some cowboy candy barbecue sauce, which I can put the link for that up above at the end of this video so you guys can see that recipe. I do have to make some cowboy candy this year because I am almost out of that. And I did grow jalapenos for that very reason. I'm also going to make some peach hot sauce made with peaches and my Sugar Rush peach peppers. So I'm going to be doing that here pretty quick too. So there's a couple good videos coming up if this is the kind of thing that you like. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. And leave me a comment and let me know if you guys preserve anything. What do you guys preserve for your family to get you through the winter? I remember my mother used to can, she used to can stewed tomatoes. And she used to can this stuff she called chili sauce. I'm not really sure what it was. It was some kind of a condiment. I never ate it because I can't eat onions. But yeah, so she grew that. I honestly can't even tell you what she used it for. But I do remember that, and she would always do applesauce. She didn't can the applesauce, she just made applesauce every year. I think maybe she froze it. But I do remember doing apples with her. Alright, so this is about, I think, half of our tomatoes. So let's get started with these. And I'll show you guys how this works. Let me just finish this tomato. Alright. Alright, let's go over to the KitchenAid now. Alright, so I'm going to turn this on, but I'm probably not going to say anything, and then I will mute the sound because, again, this is super loud. But I'm going to turn it on to setting 4, which is about the medium setting, and I'm going to start putting these through. So what's going to happen is the sauce is going to strain through. Let me show you. Well, let me show you how this whole thing works. All right. So I have a couple different parts. I have the hopper here, and then I have the metal that connects it, which is already screwed in to, well, I'll show you the whole thing. Why not? Okay. All right, so I put the hopper in like this, and then I have this spring, and I put that in, and then I tighten the screw, and that's gonna hold everything in. Maybe. All right, and then I'm gonna put the pulper on the end, and then the screen goes over that until it tightens in, and then I'm gonna put this ring on, and that's gonna hold it on. If I put it on right, it's gonna hold it on. And then I just tighten that, get it lined up, because I don't want it to leak. Honestly, I've never had problems putting this on until I got on camera. And then this part goes over the top of that, and then the pulp's gonna come out this side, and the seeds and skins are gonna come out this side into this bowl, okay? So let's get started. So once I get my bowl full, so this is about 10 pounds, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna pour it into my Nespo roaster. And then I can start kind of heating that up and continue. So I can usually do a bushel in about an hour, which isn't bad. So 50 pounds of tomatoes in an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead and get with this and then I will bring you back for the next step. Okay guys, I'm on to my next project. Here I have, well, total is 25 pounds of tomatoes. So I'm cooking this down. I'm gonna do tomato paste out of these. So I'm just gonna cook these down until I can fit more in the pot. And then I'll cook these down. I'm stirring occasionally. I'll cook them down for about an hour and then I'll put them through the food mill that I used on my KitchenAid to separate all the skins and seeds. And then we have to slow roast the tomatoes, probably for several hours, a long time, until we get the consistency that we want. So this is just the start of our tomato paste. And let me show you, we have, here we have our tomato sauce that is cooking. And I'm cooking this down, and I'm cooking that down, and then I also have 30 pounds of tomato pulp in the freezer that I'm gonna add to that as that cooks down. So stay tuned. All right guys, so that's 25 pounds of tomatoes in there. The next thing I have to do when these cook down is I have to add in some chopped red pepper. So I have that all ready to go as soon as my tomatoes cook down. All right guys, look how nicely these are cooking down. I am taking some of the water off it as it cooks some of the juice, and I'll strain that, and then I can can some tomato juice for chili and soups and things like that, because basically we're going to be cooking all the water off these anyway, so I may as well save some of the juice and be able to use that as well. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my ladle, trying not to get a lot of pulp in there, and just scooping it off. If I do get pulp in there, when I strain it, I'll put that pulp back in with the other tomatoes, with the other pulp. So I think I'm going to let this cook down for another half hour and then put it through the food mill attachment on my KitchenAid, and then I can put it in my roaster pan and start cooking it down, because again, like I said, it's going to be many hours to get this to cook down to the paste that I want it to be. So it's probably going to be, I'll probably get it all into the pan tonight and then wait and start cooking it down in the morning, because it's getting kind of late. It's already 8:30, so. All right, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, guys. It is day 2 of Tomato Palooza, and I thought I'd show you where we're at. So this is 25, 35, 40 pounds of tomato puree in here. And this is an 18-quart roaster oven. So I'm just cooking this down because I have 10 more pounds downstairs in the freezer. So as this cooks down, I'm just adding those in there. So I have 10 pounds left in the freezer. So I'm just stirring this like every 30 minutes to make sure that I don't get a lot of scorching or anything. Scraping down the sides. And then, dun, 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 we'll go over to our tomato paste, which has 30 pounds in there. Oh, it's fogging up my camera. Let's see. So, and you can see that it's gone down a little bit. It was absolutely at the tip top, and now you can see where it's gone down a little bit. It's probably going to be like 12 hours at least for this, if not longer, for it to get to the consistency that I'm looking for. So I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, so this is some of the tomato puree that I had in the freezer, because as my tomatoes ripen in the garden, I was putting them through the food mill and then putting the pulp in the freezer. So what I'm going to do is take this and put it in with my tomato sauce. So I'm gonna take you guys along. Wish me luck here. It's gonna be really full. Okay, so we'll wait for this to come down a lot because now I can't fit another thing in here. And then once some of this water evaporates, we have one more 5-pound bag in the freezer and we'll add that in. All right, so please hold. Yeah, so this is super full. So we will wait for, I'm gonna stop stirring it because I'm gonna make a mess and have it overflow. But we will wait for some of this water to evaporate, and then we'll add that last 5 pounds. So this is gonna be like probably, this won't be ready until tomorrow. Once I get everything added in, I still have to cook it down, so it's gonna be a while. On another note, however, our paste is doing really good. That has cooked down quite a bit. You can see where it started and where it's at now. I've been stirring this every 30 minutes, trying to keep the edge clean. But again, this is also probably not going to be ready until tomorrow to get the consistency that I want. However, we are making progress with this. Good morning, my friends. I thought I'd give you an update on look how lovely our paste is coming along. It is thickening up nicely. It still has a very long way to go. So technically this is day 3. However, since I didn't start my project until 4:30 on day 1, I'm counting this as day 2. So our sauce is still very, very watery, but that's because I was adding the frozen blocks that I had previously pulped and froze. And so today the sauce should be ready. Give it a few hours to cook down and it should be ready. So I will keep you updated. All right, you guys, we are back and we are going to water bath can our tomato sauce as well as our tomato paste. So I'm using the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, and I'm looking at the basic tomato sauce recipe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna can mine in pints because I tend to use pints more, and if I need more, I can always open a couple pints. So if you're doing pints, you're gonna add a tablespoon of bottled lemon juice because you want the acidity in bottled lemon juice, and if you try and use fresh lemon juice, you don't know what the acidity of the lemons is. Or a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid in each jar. I'm going to use citric acid, and then once those, I'm going to ladle it into the hot jars. I'm going to remove the air bubbles, clean the rims, put my lids on, and then I'm going to water bath can the pints for 35 minutes. So let's get started. I have my jars in my dishwasher, and they are sanitizing. So let me get a few out here. I'm going to try and use the regular mouth jars first. All right, so let me start with these. All right, so I have 8 jars here. I'm going to take and do a 1/4 teaspoon, let me make sure, of citric acid in each jar. That's an 1/8. That's a 1/4. Okay. So I don't add salt to mine because that way I can just salt it as I use it. All right, so let me put that away. And then I'm going to take my ladle so you guys can see how I'm doing this. So I have my funnel, and I'm just going to fill each one. And let me check and see the headspace. I think it's 1 inch, but let me just make sure. 1/2 inch, so a 1/2 inch of headspace. I'm going to try and do this as neatly as possible. All right. So to measure headspace, I'm usually pretty good about it because if you're using the jars, I'm usually pretty good about headspace, but if you're using the jars, it's usually up to the second thread. So 3/4 half. All right, so just about perfect. All right, so there's one. Let me move the next jar over. So we cooked our tomato sauce down to about half of what it was. Okay, so now that I have them filled, I'm gonna go ahead and just take my chopstick and I'm gonna get all the air bubbles out. And then once I have all the air bubbles out, I'm gonna take a paper towel and I'm just gonna wipe the rims to make sure that there's nothing on the rims that's going to affect the seal of my jar. And then I'm going to take my lids, and I have 4 jars lids, which I've had great success with. I haven't really had any failures since I've been using them. And I'm gonna put a new lid on each jar. And then I'm going to put a ring on each jar. And I'm just going to do my rings finger tight. Whoops. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put these into my water bath canner. Okay, and yes, I do have 1 quart in there. So I'm going to water bath can these for 40 minutes because I made a quart for my grandson's other grandmother. Okay, so we'll be back when these are ready. Somehow I lost all the footage of canning my tomato paste. I'm so sad. So what I did was I put a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid in each 4-ounce jar, and then I packed the tomato paste in, got rid of the air bubbles, and I canned it, water bath canned it for 45 minutes. I also took a cookie scooper and I put some cookie scoops full of the tomato paste on a cookie sheet, and I flash froze them so that if I just need a tablespoon or 2, I can just grab the amount of pucks that I need out of the freezer, and I have a tablespoon of tomato paste. Good morning, friends. We are back. So we have our tomato paste pucks all frozen, so we can put those in a Ziploc bag and store them in the freezer, and they will not stick to each other, and that way when we need just a tablespoon or 2 of tomato paste, we can just pull out what we need out of the bag. We also have all of our tomato goodies. So we were able to can 18 pints of tomato sauce, and then 1 quart, and then 10 1/4 pints of tomato paste. So look how beautiful that is. And let me tell you, tomato paste should be way more expensive than it is. So they all sealed. So we're going to take the rings off all of these jars. We're going to wash them all up, and then they will be ready to be stored on our pantry shelves for when we need them this winter. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up in YouTube. It will really help my channel. Go ahead, and if you haven't already and you want to, please subscribe to my channel. Please feel free to share this with your friends and encourage them to subscribe. I'm really trying to grow my channel. And thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you next time we are in the kitchen or in the garden. Bye.